Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dive into the world of corporate filings so you don't have to. Today, we're cracking open the SunOpta's latest 10K, their annual financial report. This one's got a bit of everything, so we will see what happens when the organic food provider gets a bit too spicy. SunOpta is selling plant-based beverages and healthy snacks. Overall, it has been a bumpy ride with some accounting errors, a product withdrawal, and other challenges, but it is expecting revenue growth, a boost to profit, and overall a good year for 2025. Let's see how they actually did it. First off, SunOpta filed their annual report with the Securities and Exchange Commission, also known as the SEC. It's like their yearly homework, a full account of how the company performed and its overall condition. This report tells us SunOpta ended the year on December 28, 2024. This is important because it's not a calendar but follows the 52-53 week system. Now, a word of caution, we are going to hear a lot of forward-looking statements. You should remember that the future isn't written. SunOpta is sharing its hopes and expectations, but there's no guarantee things will pan out, so they might be wrong about some things here. So what exactly does SunOpta do? They are a big name in plant-based beverages, a business that is seen as better for the climate in terms of carbon emissions and water use compared to regular dairy. Think oat, almond, and soy milks. They don't just sell to consumers, they are also a supplier to other food and beverage companies. A small number of customers account for a large part of their revenue. If they lose just one of them, that might hurt them. Their market value was around $508.7 million in June, but that does not include shares owned by some big investors, which can be a pretty standard calculation. Their total outstanding shares are around 117 million. Let's talk about the people behind the plant-based power. As of December 31, 2024, SunOpta employed over 1,200 people. They are also trying to improve their company's environmental impact, as well as make sure there is diversity. It's not just about profits. Businesses these days are also trying to do good. Like any food company, SunOpta has to jump through a lot of regulatory hoops. They are dealing with organic certifications, food safety rules, and environmental regulations. They are regulated in both the US and Canada. One major thing is that SunOpta relies on its trademarks and patents. The company protects everything they do, so if their intellectual property isn't protected, that is a major business risk. Speaking of risks, every company has its own challenges, and SunOpta is no different. The big one that everyone is facing right now is the global economy. Things are uncertain, and if people start spending less, especially when it comes to these goods, that might impact SunOpta. Another thing is higher costs. Raw materials, packaging, labor, and fuel all cost more. If SunOpta can't raise prices to compensate, their profits will take a hit. What's more, a bunch of products are perishable, meaning they don't have a lot of time to sell a bunch of items. If there is too much time, then they are forced to throw them away. Another thing is that they have to manage things well, or their supply chain might suffer. They also talk about whether they might have to write down the value of their assets or goodwill, which means that what they are really worth now is less than what's on paper. We also see that if the key people from management leave the company, that might affect the overall business. Another consideration is internal controls, especially around financial reporting. They want to make sure they are doing everything right so there is no fraud. If they have failures, then they might experience loss of investor confidence and the market price of their stock will go down. Also, product recalls are a nightmare for any food company. It's costly, hurts their reputation, and can even lead to lawsuits. In fact, back in the second quarter of 2024, they had to withdraw some products because of possible contamination, which cost them millions. They also deal with other types of lawsuits around labels, employment, data protection, or environmental issues. This means if they are not careful or if regulations change, they might have legal problems that affect their business. SunOpta is also exposed to cyber attacks. They are going to have to be super careful. Their board of directors meets regularly to talk about everything, including cybersecurity. Regarding physical properties, it's important to note that SunOpta has leased plants and facilities. Aseptic beverage processing is done through Alexandria, Minnesota and Allentown, Pennsylvania. They depend on the health of operations at these locations. For more on legal issues, you will find the details in Note 19 of the financial statements, which is never a good sign, as well as the risk factors, where you can read about what could go wrong. We also see here the market risk and some additional disclosures, so if you are an investor, these would be the things you might want to look at. Now let's get into the numbers. SunOpta's revenues increased 15.5% for the year, reaching $723.7 million. Gross profit also saw a boost, up 12% to $96.3 million. Operating income, it jumped by over 200%. Net loss also decreased, with diluted loss per share also falling 54.4% to $0.10. Adjusted EBITDA also increased by 16.8% to $88.7 million. These numbers show the company is on the right track, but it could still be impacted if it can't fulfill debt obligations. So what's my take on SunOpta? They have managed to survive and stabilize the business. However, there are external factors, especially the debt and an uncertain economy, meaning it can still change. The key is whether they can effectively manage costs and keep growing their market share in the competitive food industry. Lastly, the document mentions that an insider trading arrangement policy was changed. What did you think about this episode? If you enjoyed it, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it. Do you agree with my analysis? Did I miss anything? Let me know in the comments below. See you all next time on Corporate Decoder.